Hey, Prosperity Partners. Today we are going to talk about getting out of debt. As I mentioned before, there has been so much chatter about how everybody's practically in debt from their 50s all the way down to their 20s and how it's becoming a real concern. But I am not surprised. There is a calculator, it's called a CPI. I believe it's like an inflation calculator. And I put my own salary in there, and I have lost over almost $200,000 of buying power just based on how inflated the prices are today. The average salary for our community, the Prosperity Partners community, is about 125,000. In 2019, that salary purchased $30,966 more. And why that's so important is because a lot of us build our lifestyle and all of our expenses are based on that full 125 minus taxes, insurance, and everything like that. But now that everything's so high, we've lost the spending power of that 30,000 and we feel it. And so, of course, in order to bridge that gap, either we got to drastically reduce expenses or we got to make some more money, right? And that is difficult to recognize initially because while we're coming to this realization, then bills are still coming in. By the way, if you're brand new to my channel, I'm Netiva, the Frugal CrediTnista. I'm a personal financial educator. I own a personal financial services firm where we help our community members through courses, workshops, trainings, and different digital products to master their money, destroy their debt, and soar their credit scores so they can light their financial goals on fire. So if you like what I'm laying down, definitely hit that subscribe button and also tingle on that notification bell so you can join our community. So let's get into it. Now, what sparked this conversation was not only the news reports, but also because one of our fellow community members and prosperity partners mentioned that she just hit 40, is in a lot of debt, over $60,000, and she's feeling hopeless. So I want to kind of go over the framework that I personally use to get over $500,000 in debt, which is a lot. We don't even have to be shy about it. If you're wondering, how do you get $1,000 in debt? Medical, which is how a lot of us get into debt. When those medical expenses start piling up, we're not thinking about the debt, we're thinking about getting healthy. So I am here, okay? I am healthy, and I'm gonna tell you how I get off the debt. And this framework, my personal framework on crushing your debt or ditching your debt, destroying your debt, is something that has been battle tested over the years. Thus far, we've crushed well over $100 million in debt as a community from these same strategies, and they're not overly complicated. I'm going to be totally 100% transparent with you on the things that I found to be excruciatingly hard, okay, and difficult, and how I was able to push through. So number one, and if you see me looking to the side, those are my notes, okay? So number one is definitely mindset. When you are in debt, it sucks. You go through a whole bunch of emotions, shame, embarrassment. You don't want anybody to know. It's a lot of reasons why when I do commentary on, low credit scores or debt like this one, I don't get as many comments except, like when I'm talking about side hustles or buying a home. Those are field. Everybody's talking about that. But when I'm like, bad credit, it's like, oh, let me message her in private. You're in debt. Oh my God, let me message her in private. So it's nothing really to be shameful about. Okay. You don't have to like it, but shame often causes people not to act. And so I want you to be activated to do something about it and get out of it. And that requires an ongoing feeding of your mindset of positive things that's going to move you forward. I know inside of my Wealth on Fire Academy, we always have journaling classes and affirmations, and we have a life coach that comes on and a purpose coach that comes on and facilitates these things, because I want us to work on our mindset in addition to our habits on a continuous basis, because getting out of debt is a long process. If I said I was going to keep it real and be transparent, this is one of them. It is long. Okay, getting into it was fast, but getting out of it is long. And that's because many of us are getting out of debt with the same income that either wasn't the best, which is why we got into debt, or can't get us out at the same pace, even if we make a good income, because something catastrophic happened. And it can be anything. Some of the most popular things that have happened in our community, medical, as I mentioned before with me, loss of a loved one, or job loss, divorce. Those are like the top 4 things. And so those aren't things that you just get over. And they also carry a lot of weight as far as emotional. So if you feel that you need to get therapy, in order to kind of get yourself in a right framework, there is a young woman whom I absolutely love called the Frugal Feminista. And she often says, and I've kind of made this my own Nativaism, sometimes you have to heal you before you heal your relationship with money. I love that expression, and that is so true. Me personally, I did a lot of reading. I did a financial coaching session with a lady who filed my bankruptcy because I did want to get rid of as much of that medical debt as possible. I was still left with IRS debt. I was still left with some business debt, and I was still left with student loan debt. And that alone was over 6 figures still. Okay. So when I say it's a long process, it is from experience, and you have to constantly work and feed your mindset to keep you motivated, because you will get discouraged in order to do so. That's why we do the vision boards every single year, sometimes twice a year inside of Wealth on Fire. That's why we do action boards on top of that. That's why we have live classes, because you have to kind of associate yourself with people who are working towards goals, because the people who are around my circle at the time was, girl, like, forget them bills. Okay, you file bankruptcy, what they gonna do? Take me to jail. Okay, take the house. All right, garnish my wages and my bank account. They're not worried about that though. That's my problem. So you got to get your mindset on point. Number 2, you have to know what's coming in and what's going out. And for us, what was coming in wasn't that much, because I was a full-time realtor. I got sick. What happens when those commission checks stops? Okay, the money stops. Not like it was a job. It was something that like people were living check to check. I was living closing to closing, right? And therefore, the only consistent income was my husband's, who had the job. Okay. And because real estate commissions were so great, all right, by me not being able to work and it being the recession at that time, my income came to a complete halt, and we were budgeting just off of his income. The issue was that is that all of our lifestyle was built off of both of our expenses. So there was a huge deficit between the amount that was coming in and the expenses, the fixed expenses that we had accumulated. So we had to go to the income, this is what it is, and then we had to go to the expenses, and start cutting. We had to cut, and it was some things that made us uncomfortable. It was some things we had some arguments and some complications. It got to the point where we were the ghetto family in Walmart arguing over a stick of gum, because he wanted to buy the $1.89 pack when nothing was wrong with the 50-cent pack. That's how good this budget was. Good. And that's how strict and serious I was about it. But at the end of the day, you do have to be dedicated, the mindset again, to having the income consistent with the potential of going up, and having the expenses as fixed as possible so they're predictable, and then not being afraid or in your feelings about reducing them and going through that uncomfortability of reducing that lifestyle change in order for you to hit your goal of being debt-free. That part sucks. Outside of being on a budget, outside of the little, tits and tats my husband and I went through because he worked hard and deserved this and all of that good stuff, and me, I should be able to have this and you're the man, and all them other crazy conversations that we had, having to tell myself no after working extremely hard to get back on track, him having his job, me now getting a job after years of being a realtor. After you get that check, the last thing you want to do is hand it all to debt and bills and not be able to have something for yourself. So it took a while to kind of get to be able to say, okay, yes, you work hard. Take this amount for just you. Find out what you really, really want, need, desire, love. I focus on my loves so that you can have something for you, something that makes working at this job that you can't stand worth it, while still taking care of the debt. Because honestly, all of the delayed sacrifices and delayed gratifications and the pushbacks and the reductions and the eliminations and all the things that you've gotten used to and love, all that is temporary. Because once the debt gone, even a bulk of the debt is gone, then you can start adding the things that really brings joy to your life back, right? So taking that financial inventory, tracking your income and expenses, and doing some cutbacks, right? And also knowing what you owe. I can't tell you how many people that I've spoken to, and I'm like, what do you owe? And they just like list of stuff on their credit reports, and it's like no real factual data or information. You want to know the name of the company, how much you originally took out, the interest rate, the current balance, the stats, right? And you're going to need that information as you start developing your strategy in order to actually get out of debt. Now, you are going to want to set a fixed amount of your expenses, and you're going to actively work on continuously reducing those expenses. And when I say making them fixed, that means maybe getting on a budget plan so it's not so your utilities aren't fluctuating all over the place, reducing your insurance plan so that you still have the coverage that you need, maybe not that you won't, but that you need in case, you know, life happens. And you also are paying an amount that's actually affordable. That's how we found out about the farm bureaus insurance that was way more affordable than the insurance that we had for our home and all of that good stuff at the time. Then you want to look into strategy. There are a few strategies out there. Inside of my Wealth on Fire Academy, we have a Destroy Your Debt Masterclass, which literally goes over a plethora of different debt payoff strategies and even hybrid methods. And I wanted to create that and have like handouts with them and stuff. And we have live Q&A sessions and trainings on them and all that good stuff so that all of our members understand them and they are clear on which one would match them and their unique situation. I'm actually having another training that's coming up. Depending on when you see this will determine if it's going to be waitlist or if it's going to be actively enrolling for the live. So I'll leave a link that's going to go to either one based on when you see this video, and you'll know whether you're going to be rocking out with me, and I'll share their same information with you as well. But you're gonna, what are the two popular ones? Snowball, where you start with the lowest balance to the highest balance. Avalanche, when you organize all of your debts by interest rates. And then Tsunami, which is your emotional impact. Like, let's say a lot of people who have Santander, they were like, listen, no, we getting rid of this today. Like, this has to be at the top. I want them out of there. And then maybe you owe a family member and it's causing a strain. People often put familial debt at the bottom, but you cannot be going to the cookout, owing people money and think you're going to have a great time. It is going to cause division in your family, and that is the last thing you want. Somebody who you love took money out and for you, they gave you money that they needed. Have the respect to pay it back. And so that may be a debt that supersedes the other stuff that you have going on, because that family relationship is everything. Now, one of the things that we did last year inside of Wealth on Fire is we had a, how do we call it? Calling for coins. We called it Calling for Coins. And this is when you call your creditors and you negotiate, whether you're negotiating interest rate down, you're negotiating better terms, you're negotiating a different type of hardship program or payment plan, anything that's going to create better terms so that you can get out of debt faster, hopefully permanent terms so you can get out of debt faster, or even save money temporarily so that you can apply it towards whatever debt is first on that list that you're paying off. So that's something that you want to do as well. Negotiate with your creditors, try to reduce some debt, look at other alternatives out there, such as balance transfer cards, maybe a personal loan at 13%, which is way better than the credit cards that you have at 25%, taking that debt on a credit card and paying it with a personal loan so that now the interest rate is significantly better. So those are the type of things that we did when we were Calling for Coins challenge, and I encourage you to do that as well. Next, increasing your income. I have a side hustle planner. It's a challenge that I did live. We're going to do it later in the year in Wealth on Fire. But for now, I have the challenge like in a 30-day planner or calendar. And all you have to do is follow it. I'll probably have another one that I'll develop a little bit later on, but I'll leave the link to Wealth on Fire if you want to join us later in the year. We record all of our challenges. So if you ever want to see the replay, you can always just hit that up and kind of rock out with it for the month and see everything that we did. But it is so important to raise your income. One of the things that I would try to do is to increase my income, like compound it at least 1%. And it may not be a lot, but it really just developed my mindset to constantly look for ways to make more money. And as I was looking for ways to make more money, I was also looking for ways to reduce expenses by that same amount. So if I increased at 1%, I would as far as my income, I would try to decrease my expenses by 1% and kind of have that balance. And that's honestly how I ended up in the financial services industry, right? So I started off, as I mentioned before, in real estate. What are people needed to do? What do they need to get together in order to get into a home? They need to fix their credit. They need to create a budget so they can save more, so increase their savings. They need to get out of debt. So all of that kind of perfectly married into the personal finance industry. I started off with live workshops, bringing them in. Let's to get your credit together. Okay, let's do a budget workshop together. And of course, I charge for that, right? This is my time, my expertise. It was extremely affordable for the value that it brought. And on top of that, it allowed me to be able to be their realtor because I'm keeping in touch with them. So it created a pipeline of buyers for me to sell their homes while I was working the full-time job. So I would have the workshops on Saturday. And evenings just did not work for me, honey. But I would do the workshops on Saturday, and then I would have automated methods of communicating with them. I think it was text at the time. I can't remember. That was a little while ago, child, showing my age, but I wasn't really into email marketing then. Even now that I'm in the personal finance industry and space, I eventually moved into one-on-one, into courses and digital products. And now I teach other service-based business how to create profitable and scalable digital products as well. And so as you start, as I mentioned before, to look for different ways in order to make more money and creative ways to save more money, those creative juices are just going to start spinning, and you're going to be so grateful because even after you are out of debt, you are going to have all of these skills where you're constantly going to be thinking about ideas of generating more income, more revenue, and you might even find your passion like I did and have a whole other business and get you some FU money going on, which is going to be dope. Don't even forget about the career progression or the career choices. I've had so many prosperity partners who have negotiated salaries. We have an HR person come in about 2 to 3 times a month, depending on the request. They come into Wealth on Fire, and she has helped so many of our partners to be able to improve on their resume, to be able to improve on their interviewing skills. They've done mock interviews to effectively negotiate their salaries. These are things that are so important. I'm so appreciative of her and her skills and coming into our community to do that. If this is something you feel that will be dope for you, then I will definitely bring her in and do like an open community type thing. I don't know if it'll be on YouTube, because I'm not sure how her job feels about this, because she is working in HR in her job. So it'll probably be something that I'll invite you guys on a Zoom call because it's more private. So if it's something that you think you'll love, then just put in the comments and I'll tell you to get on my email list and be a part of our Frugal Mail community. And that way you'll get notified for that. Okay. Or you can just join the Frugal community. I'll leave that link down there for y'all. Next, you do want to build an emergency fund. I get this question all the time. Should I be putting more emphasis towards saving or putting more emphasis towards getting out of debt? Both. Have you ever tried to get out of debt and then you have no money and then something happens and you back in debt because you got to pull in your credit cards? I have done the paycheck loans, okay, the title loans. I've done all of that because I didn't put a priority on actually saving something for the emergency fund. So I didn't tell you where to allocate all of that extra money that you are saving for generating your side hustle income and reducing expenses. You want to kind of do a nice little split. When I first started, everybody was saying, oh, Dave Ramsey says save $1,000. As a homeowner, $1,000 was crap, okay? I remember one year, the dishwasher, the stove, and the refrigerator broke. Like $1,000 wasn't going to cover that. So for us, comfortably, $2,500 was the amount that we targeted. And different things, like I said, income generations, money coming in from closings at the time, money coming in for one-on-one credit repair and consultations. Those are just some of the things. But now there's like so many different ways of making money. If I had AI back then, I would be a beast. Okay, I got a little old down tab. But if I was back then with AI and all the opportunities that are available right now, oh my gosh. So there are a plethora of different things that you can do right now to start generating income that's not going to compromise what you're doing during your 9 to 5, that's going to allow you to absolutely rock it. Keep your eyes open. And again, I left some ideas down below, but I haven't even gotten into the different AI opportunities out here that, or a TikTok shop, right? Like stuff like that will allow you to absolutely crush it. So keep that in mind. You're going to be building up your emergency fund, and you decide how much you're going to save. I knew $2,500 was that amount to go with, because of past expenses. So you're going to have to look at what past emergencies or uh-ohs came up and how much they were, because for some, like $500 is enough, right? And then have that amount saved so that you're not pulling it from a credit card or going through drastic measures. Does that make sense? If it does, let me know in the comments. So definitely decide that. And I know inside of Wealth on Fire, I did a couple of classes, but the main one that if you do decide to like click that link and join and all that good stuff is the Boss Up Your Budget. It's a 5-day challenge that I did. And I literally taught how to actually decide what to start saving for the emergency fund. And so that'll be dope for you to figure that out on yourself. And then you want to automate it. You're not trying to manually put stuff into your savings. If you are working a 9-to-5, a great way to automate is to have the savings come from HR, even if it's just like 25 bucks. Sometimes it's not initially about the amount, it's more about developing the habit. I was actually able to save my first $10,000 by having HR deposited into a company partnered firm many states over that I did not have a debit card to. It was like out of sight, out of mind. So if that's something that happens or is available at your job, definitely do it. Now, track your progress, okay? Track your progress. You have to have some type of tracking form. There are so many apps out there. I am a good old spreadsheet and pen and paper girl, and also a support system. For me, it was lonely, okay? My husband is not the most, yay, a budget. All right, my friends were not on it when we were doing, like, fixing our credits together, rocking with me like crazy. The minute I started talking about a budget and cutting expenses and not going out as much, it was like, they curved me. So they were not trying to hear it. And that's one of the reasons why I created my free community, which is, Prosperity Partners, my membership community, super affordable, a lot of resources, Wealth on Fire Academy, is because I understand how important that support system is, right? And having somewhere to post your questions and raise your hand and not have a fear of judgment or somebody being ashamed or embarrassed and all that good stuff. And then learning. You want to learn about financial literacy. I don't care how old people are, whether they are in their 60s or in their 20s. I always hear the sentence start off with, I was never taught. And so I want to make sure there's a plethora of financial resources at your fingertips so that you can be taught that. And whatever I don't know, I bring in my wealth partners to talk about investing and all of that good stuff. Not somebody's going to teach you about investing, okay? And bring you, like I mentioned, my HR wealth partner, right? To talk about things that I'm not well versed in so that you can have what you need in order to crush it. And then set financial goals. I mean, I talked about the importance of a vision board and turning that into an action board. And goal setting is so important. I actually have a free goal setting class just to get you started, right? And it's so extremely important to know what you're going towards, because the end goal isn't really getting out of debt. I mean, who's gonna, yay, I'm out of debt. Like, it feels good, but ultimately it's like, okay, now what, right? What are you really working towards? What do you want? What fulfills you? What does your lifestyle look like? Now that the majority of the people that I started off with in our fresh 30s, right, are now in early 40s, some early 50s. And so our goals have definitely morphed and changed. And now we're like, what am I passionate about? What are some of my hobbies? What does freedom look like? What does a fulfilled life look like? The conversations are completely different because we own that. We are older. We want different things. It's not so much, oh, I want to grow my business and I want to run, when we were in late 30s and late 20s and fresh 30s, it was all about, work, build a business, make a lot of money. Now it's like, child, what makes me happy? Okay, I want some peace of mind. So it's a little bit different now that, I'm in the fresh 40s, right there, a range of mid 30s to early to late 50s. Like, it's a different conversation now, and I'm loving it. And then I think another thing with the pandemic is that sitting that long by ourselves, like, we were really locked down where I was. Some of you not so much, but that much alone time kind of like, woo, wired something differently. And now there's a lot of healing, a lot of conversations that have to be had, and we are prioritizing our mental health like never before, and I am here for it. So that's kind of the framework that I go through in order to get out of debt. And it's not going to change much. I'll do a quick little rundown so you can kind of go over right quick, but definitely your mindset, taking financial inventory of your income, your expenses, and where you are when it comes to your debt, and making your debt list, creating a bulletproof budget, cutting some expenses, finding ways to make more money, choosing your repayment strategy and making sure it works for you. Keep in mind with your repayment strategy that it can change. You may not ride one out from beginning to end the same way. You may start off with snowball or avalanche and come, be open to that flexibility. Increase your income, increase your income, increase your income. Build that emergency fund, and then find a community, even if it's your BFF, your partner, your husband, whatever, so that you can be held accountable, you can stay motivated, and educate yourself. I mean, there's a plethora of books out there. I already mentioned my community, which is extremely affordable, extremely in depth, that will allow you to get the financial education that you need to make sure that you not only get out of debt, but stay out of debt. Because ultimately, we want to crush some goals. We want to light our financial goals on fire. We want to live that nice, purposeful, fulfilled life, and causes that peaceful exhale, right? All right, as I mentioned before, please like, subscribe, and share. And if you have any questions for me, definitely put them down in the comments below. I'm leaving all of the links that I've mentioned inside of this video, and I will see you in our next video. See you next time.